Well, we've seen hot weather across a lot of the country, but big changes are on the way for some areas next week. First, it's going to get hot across the west, but I want you to notice this little July. I'm calling it surprise, if you will. Now, I don't know how you're going to take it, but I was talking about last night how we've seen the polar vortex sort of get reestablished across the North Pole over the last couple of days, and that should continue this weekend. But look how some of that cold air is going to break off. Now, it's July. It's not January. So clearly this is going to play out a lot different. These are temperature anomalies. How about that? Temperatures below average, possibly as far south as Kansas. Now, this is the GFS looking out a week from now. And what do these temperatures look like? They look comfortable for July. So we may have some relief. And I was looking at some of the modeled numbers, which are pretty impressive to see behind this front. Take a look at this. This would be next Monday night. Now, Tuesday looks hot again across. I don't know that it's going to get this hot. These models sometimes get a little overboard. But the idea that this pretty chilly air pushes south, and we may be looking at lows in the 40s across parts of Minnesota, maybe as far south as Nebraska. I'm not so sure. But either way, check that out. You go from triple-digit heat to the 60s and 70s for places like Kansas, over to parts of Missouri. I mean, look, highs even into Oklahoma may struggle to get to 80 late next week. Let's see if all this comes to pass. And boy, look at that. Again, I don't know that I'm a believer in how strong and how cold this is going to be. We're looking out well over a week, showing overnight lows getting close to the 40s in some areas, at least close to 50 across parts of Illinois, Indiana, maybe even Ohio, and then that eventually moves into the Northeast. So still some time to go. It's something I'm watching over the next couple of days. Severe weather possible across North Carolina, South Carolina, and where there's severe weather, you're going to get heavy rain. A problem again, and those storms could be strong all the way up into parts of the Northeast, from Virginia north to Panhandle of West Virginia, all the way up into Pennsylvania, New York, Vermont, and parts of Connecticut and Massachusetts. Tomorrow, we also have a risk of severe weather across the Central Plains, so into Kansas, Nebraska, parts of Colorado, all the way north to the Canadian border. Storm Prediction Center watching this region. And then now as we move into Friday, look how these storms still hanging out along the East Coast. And then our severe weather starts to push a little bit further to the east. If you just kind of want to push this out in time, your day 4 outlook, day 5, day 6, day 7, the predictability is still too low. But I just feel like the pattern's going to be there for more storms. Here's what we're looking at tonight. We've got this cluster of storms moving through parts of South Dakota, Nebraska. This is going to continue to push off to the south and east, likely holding on to some of those strong gusty winds, maybe some hail, an isolated tornado maybe, but that threat starts to wane as we head toward the early morning hours as this cluster pushes into parts of Iowa, into parts of northern Missouri. It really does start to fall apart some. And then we're watching the possibility of a cluster moving south into Wisconsin. And then everything starts to fire up again heading into Friday, a little bit further south across Nebraska and down into Iowa. Here's a look at your temperatures on Thursday. Let's go further south across the southern plains into Texas, where we are getting a bit of a break from at least the heavy concentrated rain. Heading into Thursday afternoon, more storms fire really here from the Front Range east of the mountains, mostly here into eastern Colorado, Kansas, into Nebraska. We've talked about that, and there could even be more rain and showers across parts of New Mexico, where we've seen some heavy rain today, yesterday. There could be some more tomorrow as well, and then this starts to push off to the east, and then as we head into Friday, we'll likely do it again just a little bit further to the east. And here's a look at your temperatures for Thursday. Highs climbing back up into the 90s, close to 100 across the plains. Hot weather is in full effect. To the northeast of this area we go now to the Great Lakes. We've got that heavy rain that we're looking at this evening into early tomorrow morning, pushing off the East Coast. We're settling down just a little bit in the morning, but we fire it all up again tomorrow afternoon. It's been pretty wet here from North Carolina into Virginia, parts of West Virginia, Ohio, Pennsylvania, with these scattered afternoon showers and storms. The moisture content in the atmosphere is so high. It's humidity you can wear. So thick, too. More storms and more humidity, too, with the showers and storms moving back towards southern Wisconsin, towards Chicago, into Michigan as we head into Friday night. These start to settle down some as we get into the evening hours, but that's something to keep an eye on. And here's a look at your temperatures across this region heading through tomorrow afternoon. Any cooling would happen because of the rain shower activity, which is really about the only relief you'll see. Further to the east, kind of a wider look here from Florida north up into the mid-south. Also zooming in a little bit on the northeast here, kind of a different view. More rain again overnight tonight. That rain heavy across parts of North Carolina. We've talked about that from the Weather Prediction Center. If you're joining this live video, you can take it back from the beginning. We've talked about that area that's being watched by the Weather Prediction Center for some heavy rain across parts of North Carolina out toward the Piedmont. Bit of a break in the morning. Look at this steady rain, though, holding on across parts of the Northeast as we get into Thursday morning through Thursday afternoon. And more storms firing up here from the Piedmont of Virginia down into North Carolina, South Carolina, all the way down into the deep south across Georgia. Scattered showers. That's about the only relief of the heat across the deep south. Those storms settle down Thursday night into Friday morning. And yes, we do it again. The summer pattern is on, and so are the temperatures. It's going to be hot across this part of the country. I'm going to zoom in on the south here because heading into tomorrow, another hot one from Macon down to Augusta, all the way over to Tallahassee and into the Gulf Coast states. Highs in the 90s. Up in the mountains, a little bit cooler, though, with more clouds and more rain here. Not cooling off at night, though. I want to show you this. Look at these temperatures. Barely dipping into the 60s, even in the highest elevations, close to 70. And I'm telling you, across this area, Saturday could be even hotter. Further to the north into the mid-Atlantic, another hot day on the way for Thursday from D.C. down towards the tidewater of North Carolina and Virginia. Highs in the 80s, maybe a little bit cooler as you get up towards southern New England. Highs up toward New York City. In the 70s and 80s, we get back up into the 80s and maybe even a little bit warmer as we head toward the weekend, especially the further north and east you go. Temperatures across this region. These are touch numbers here I'm showing you from the National Weather Service forecast highs for Thursday. Comfortable across Maine. Highs in the upper 60s into some of the highest elevations into the 70s, but we're in the 80s up and down the Hudson Valley corridor, all the way from Albany down to New York City. I think we're in the low 80s here. All right, that's a quick look at the Northeast. Let's go west as we look at the heat that's going to be building here too, and we'll show a little bit of that cold that's trying to nudge down in northern parts of the northern Rockies. I think the big story out west is the fire danger and also the hot weather that's going to be building in over the next couple of days. Not a lot of rain here, but we'll watch these temperatures. This is pretty impressive. This is where we're going to be heading into Thursday. Highs across the far southwest. I mean, look, this is just blistering heat. But what I'm looking at now is places like Boise, up into eastern Oregon, eastern Washington, northern California now, where we're getting up into the 90s. This is Thursday. These temperatures warm up even more heading into the weekend. Watch, if you're watching a particular area, notice how the number's rising in those areas I just mentioned. Eastern Oregon, eastern Washington, really all of Oregon and Washington getting really hot, especially into the lower elevations, well into the 90s. The Central Valley could be pushing 110 as we get towards Saturday. I don't know that we get that hot, but it could. It's the setup. You've got a huge upper level dome, and then Sunday could be blistering here, maybe even triple-digit heat as far north as Washington. There starts to be some relief to this the further north you go. There comes that cold air trying to be felt across first Montana. Look at that blasting into the Rockies. You talk about a crisp morning, waking up into the mountains into the 30s. Summer in the northern Rockies. All right, that's all I got, guys. If you enjoyed this video, I hope you'll subscribe, come back. You can check these videos out anytime if you missed the live stream like this. If you're on the live stream, hope you're doing well. And we will see you next time. And we didn't touch much on the tropics, so I want to show you guys something. Over the next 7 days, the National Hurricane Center is not expecting much activity. It's kind of quiet, eerily. We'll be watching it, though. All right, see you.